debt exchange program, many pensioners who are holding on to bonds today besieged the premises of the finance ministry, picketing, demonstrating, demanding that they should be exempted. Well, the finance minister was forced to finally descend from his office to engage them. The finance minister has offered them 15% interest on their bonds for the next 5 years. But the pensioners say they are too vulnerable to accept that. They want the original terms of their bonds to be maintained. Also today, we are just 24 hours away for that deadline for the debt exchange program to close. And we're hearing from individual bondholders who are up in arms today, fighting the finance minister for defaulting on more than 4 billion cedis worth of bonds today. Well, the Individual Bondholders Association of Ghana, led by Martin Kpebu, is tonight accusing the finance minister of abuse of office in proceeding with that particular default, as they accuse him a tactic to force individual bondholders to sign on to the debt exchange program. We'll hear from him pretty shortly. But listen to the finance minister when he descended into the ground and engaged with the pensioners who were holding on to bonds. He told them that if they do not participate, this economy will grind to a halt.
I mean, a nation must look after its destitute, or widows, or orphans, or retirees. Okay, so we came up with a bond program, and we're supposed to close this maybe on in December. And we moved it. So we've moved it about 4 times. And really, this is it. The challenge that we have, as you all know, is that we need, by the end of March or middle March, to have concluded with our IMF program. This is an important part of that program for us, the debt exchange. And then we had various issues. You know, we have therefore, in this period, engage the banks and financial institutions. And I think we've come a long way, in which we expect a full tendering tomorrow when the tender closes. Then we also had engagements of individual bondholders, including yourselves. And Dr. Duanani really represented you guys extremely well, because we were at a 0% interest, in which it was a 12-year, 15-year bond. Okay, so he articulated your specific issues, and we reduced it from 12, 15 years to 5 years. Okay, so that accommodating that, even though we know that over a third of you have bonds that are beyond the 5 years, as we sit today, 12 years and up. So we brought it to the 5 years, okay? Then we looked at it and said, look, on average, to be honest with everybody, and everybody knowing the numbers, the return on your bonds, it's about 18.5% on average, okay? So looking at all of the categories, we say, well, these are retirees. Let's include those 59 who will be 60 this year and give them 15%. So the fight that we are presumably fighting here is the difference between 15 and 18.5%. The cost of that may be that we may not get an IMF clearance. And then your issues of inflation, capacity to pay, takes on a different hue. So my challenge really, and I spoke to Doc a bit about it, is that, look, what you have done is incredible and is great. Now we are at a point where, what is the Dinkra symbol? Boaminamin Boao. Or else the nation will come to a halt.
Well, it told the individual bondholders, pensioners forum that the offer on the table right now is the best they can ever get.
So we've now brought you from 0 to 15 really 3.5 basis points between what you would normally get to that, and also move the whole maturity period from the 12 that we had prescribed at the beginning to 5, knowing very well that at least a third of you have maturities way beyond even the 12. Okay, so at this juncture, looking at what we have been able to do, being really very clear on where we are as a nation and what part of the contribution you want to. So I want at least one of you to tell me exactly what it is that is so egregious. And the fact of the matter is that, ladies and gentlemen, if we do not get our debt program in order, the inflation that we have will be worse than before. So if I have been able to reduce the maturity to 5 years in which you can get your money, a third of you are way beyond even 12 years. So I've actually brought the possibility of getting your money much earlier. Your average rate is about 18.5. I have brought it to 15 from 0. And then you are helping with an economy to ensure that in March we go through the World Bank. I think we all saw in September, October, when there was so much uncertainty in the economy, and what happened to our interest rate or our foreign exchange, which created, untold hardship. So honestly, for me, I'm glad you did the prayer to have moved and to what government is now able to present. It's clearly a government that heard, understood, and made dramatic changes, which really, in my heart of hearts, I feel very convinced that it is good for you and it is good for the nation.
Now to the moment that defined today's protest by the Individual Bondholders Pensioners Forum, when one of the affected individual bondholders pensioner, a woman, got an opportunity now to lay the case before the finance minister, and the finance minister then coming face to face with her on the subject of the debt exchange program and how that threatens her own livelihood and that of his colleagues who are already now on pensions and are looking forward to living off the back of the coupons they were expecting from these bonds. Listen to the exchange.
So it's not an issue of I don't want to be part of it, but an issue of where we are as a country, where we are going, what is it that I have taken from you, and how do we recover going forward? So, Madam, if there is anything, I think it will be fair for me to hear and see what I have not done.
We know that you talk about moving from 0 to 15, but you see, none of us contracted bonds at 0%. So it's hard for us to even make a comparison from 0. For us, we look at it from what terms we accepted when we took our bonds that were issued. And if we are haggling over 3%, that should tell you how dire our situation is and how vulnerable we are. If 3% means so much to us, so that's what we want you to look at. We are asking for you to totally exempt us from this program. We are not that many, you know. You know the total value. You do know that a third of us or so go beyond 5%. But those 5 years. But when people were buying bonds, they saw the terms of the bonds. And they had objectives when they bought bonds. Their objectives are that they are looking for maturities to match certain plans in their lives. And that is why people picked bonds that they picked at the time that they did. So even though it's a good thing that you may be wanting to bring some people whose bonds mature way beyond 2028 to that point, bringing it forward to 2028 or so, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good thing that you're doing for them because they have their objectives and they know why they picked the bonds that they picked. But please, we depend on our coupons. We've done all the math. We know what to expect. We know how to add that to whatever other income we get, either from Social Security or whatever. We've planned our lives around these bonds. Some people, when they do the computation, they tell you that what they are going to be getting per month or so is just like 1,000 cedis or 2,000 cedis or something, but they have planned their lifestyles around it. So please, total exemption is what we ask. We are not many. Please look at us and do this for us. We are vulnerable. We don't want to be a burden on you, on the country, or on our children. We want to be a burden on ourselves. And so we planned our lives in such a way that we will be a burden on ourselves. So please, know that you will give us some good hearing and consideration. Thank you.
No, thank you very much for this. You know, the challenge that we have is that we have an economic crisis. We do have an economic crisis. And I think if people truly want the elongated bonds, that's easier to do. It's less burden on us. We thought, really, and that was one of the huge things that Dr. Edward Anani and co were saying, that look, this 12 years is too long, I'll be dead by then. And so we found it, necessary to find a way to bring it to 5 years. The question that we have is that if we do not get our economy stable, your 18 or 40% or whatever would mean nothing. So it is crucial that we get this economy stable. It is crucial that we ensure that our foreign exchange issues are resolved so that there is integrity in whatever numbers we put here. And the question that I'm saying is Buami Namensumimbuau, because I need to make sure that the economy is stable. So in the same way in which, we have moved this to maybe a 3.5% differential and also contracted the period, is what we are talking about. That help us to move into the landing zone and really, in a sense, facilitates the strengthening of the economy much faster. So that would be your contribution. And we feel really the government has listened. There's humanity to it. We are protecting the widows and the orphans and the destitute and the older people who have worked for this nation. But we are in a crisis. We can't put our head under the sun and pretend that we are not. What is it that we all, me and you, as people over 60, are helping in these very difficult circumstances, So inflation is important that we have to fight. We need to be mindful that we really need to be successful in going to the fund, by this March to avoid what we all experienced last year, which we don't want to experience again. The issue of the term, has been attenuated to 5 years to make sure that you can have your money even earlier and then do whatever you want with it with regards to reinvestment in the bonds that are in the marketplace instead of the uncertainty of long term. When things change in an economy and you get the opportunity to restate your investment objectives, you do take advantage of it. So the issue of the time value of money becomes something that is critical to you. And we are clear that this is much better, for everybody.
So the finance minister will be addressing the nation at 6 p.m. Tonight. It's going to be live here on Joy 99.7 FM, also on the Joy News channel and across our many social media platforms. I want to bring in right now the leader of the Pensioners Bondholders Forum, Dr. Edu Ananienchi, who joins us on the telephone line right now. Also joining me on the telephone line right now is Martin Kpebu, a convener with the Individual Bond Holders Association of Ghana. Thank you, gentlemen, for the time here on Top Story. Dr. Duranenchu, let me start with you. We just had that very touching exchange between one of your members and the finance minister. The finance minister came back after that passionate appeal to him and said, in essence, I really can't do anything about this. This is the final offer on the table for you. Your next move.
Yeah, we have heard the finance minister. In fact, the fact of the matter is that before he announced that new package, he had called to say this is what government is going to do. And we met and said, no, we don't agree with what government is going to do. Again, the challenge that we have still is that it was not negotiated. It was just the minister thinking that this is good for it. So let me give you, and I hope you will accept it. So from the minister's standpoint or point of view, this is a good thing that he's off. And as he said, I have said, and the Martin and others were there, I said the challenge with this whole problem is the coupon, which is very low. And then the maturity period that you have made it 12 sometimes and 15. And I liken it that for corporates, they can accept that because a corporate entity is not expected to just live this well. It's expected to be there for a long time. But human beings, even though we pray to God to give us long life, we can't say for sure that we will be there today or tomorrow or the next day. So a human being would not allow his money, his investment to be with you for that lengthy time if that was not his intention. So now he has looked at the coupon and he has looked at the maturity and thinks this is good for people, so he's offering. The problem here is that if people have sat down and have agreed that yes, what you are bringing, maybe change here, do this, and the agreement has been reached, as it was reached with the banks and the insurance and my own security industry guys, that will be fine. But this one is something that the minister thinks it will be okay with both individual bondholders and the pensioner bondholders. So for us, we are still saying that we want to be taken away and be treated the same way that pension funds have been treated, based on the fact that you don't want to impair people's future. And people who are yet to come on pensions, you don't want to impair the money that they are going to use to come on pensions. We don't see the reason why you cannot also do the same thing for people who have already come on pensions.
So do you accept this offer then, or you still plan to put more pressure to get an exemption based on all you heard from the finance minister tonight?
Well, the finance minister hasn't changed his position since the second amended invitation memorandum came. The same. He was talking about the same thing. That is, so it's not a new thing he's saying. It's the second amended, and our position is that we want to be taken off the program because we think that the same rates that we are using, we are planning our lives there. We don't have any other means of going to find income to make for the shortage that will be happening to our coupons. There's no way people are going to work more hours or do some other work to get to fill the gap. So we want to be exempted as a vulnerable group. And let us have what we have bargained for, so that our lives are not unduly impaired. And we are talking about people's health. This is the amount they are using to buy drugs.
Yeah, and that woman made it very clear, face to
Yes,
face with the finance minister,
yes.
and yet, Dr. Dudu, the finance minister came back and said, "Well, I can't help you." To paraphrase, I mean, haven't you reached the end of the road on this one?
No, we haven't. That's why we have said we will be going there every day, every working day. We shall be there until the exemption is granted.
But the deadline is just 24 hours away. In fact, less.
Yes, yes.
So even post the deadline, and the finance minister is about to address the nation, and we expect that he will be announcing that there will be no extension tomorrow. Even post that, you're saying that you still continue the protest.
Yeah, we will still continue because we have an agreement with the government.
Okay.
It's deadline or no deadline. It doesn't change the agreement we have with government. I will still protest and ensure that it takes it out of the program.
And finally, before I bring in Martin Kpebu, last week, the finance ministry, the minister himself told Graphic, and in meetings with the individual bondholders conveners, said they will not punish individual bondholders who do not sign on to the deduction program, and that they will honor the obligations. Do I hear you suggest that you do not trust that assurance?
It's not that I don't trust, but my understanding as a market person of these issues, there's a difference between I have exempted you and you have opted out of the program. If the government, the issuer says you have been exempted, the issuer is saying, for these debts, I can handle, so I'm not restructuring it. I can handle these debts. It's exempted. I can handle it. These ones I can't handle are the ones I'm restructuring because I can handle the coupon payment without stress going through problems. So these ones I can handle, so I'm taking them out. That is different from the ones that I can't handle because my problems are so much and I want to restructure, and you decide not to come under the restructuring agreement. Two different things. So we want to be exempted.
Okay.
Tell us that for these debts, you can handle. So you are not bringing it into the debt restructuring program.
I mean, Dr. Anantwi, please stay with me. Martin Kpebu is with me. Martin, this really is decision time, is it not? I mean, for individual bondholders, your association today issued a statement. Already today, the finance ministry, the government, they've defaulted on just over 4 billion cedis worth of bonds that were maturing today. It's decision time, less than 24 hours to the deadline.
Well, Evans, what the finance minister is doing is just a ploy, it's a tactic, an abuse of office to stampede our members to go and sign the DDEP, that's the Domestic Debt Exchange Program. That's an abuse of office. You can't treat people's livelihoods like that. The finance minister cannot treat people's livelihoods like that. That's the Constitution, Article 36. It's against the conduct. It says protect livelihoods in development. So how can you do this to stampede people? Evans, I heard you refer, Dr. Duana, to the statement by the finance minister last Monday that government will pay or will honor existing bonds. Government will honor existing bonds. And then 5 days later, Friday night, they've put this statement in the exchange memorandum that they are not paying. So when we even saw the exchange memorandum, everybody thought, oh, it was fake. Others said it was a draft. Because it was incredible. Incredible that 5 days on, the finance minister will do this. This, what do you call it? This is an abuse of office. You can't do that. It's not allowed. You can't stampede people to come and sign. Evans, where is he stampeding us to sign for? Or what will he achieve? Evans, look, all the top economists have come out and said individuals can be exempted and Ghana will be fine. All the top economists and then lay people, everybody's understood that government can cut back on expenditure. This year, we intend to spend far more than we spent last year. We are going to spend 227 billion. So why won't we cut back some of the projects? And we've shown the finance minister how in the technical report we submitted to him. And he set up the technical committee. So is he rubbishing the technical committee report? The very report he said, wow, this is a good report. Ghana must commit to it. That's his comment, that it's a good report. We must commit to it. And in there, we've shown some of the projects that can be what? Cut back. Everybody says so. Evans, you don't have a country if you don't have people. Yes, so if these people die, and I'm happy the old lady mentioned it, yes, we need to protect livelihoods first. So right now, Furiata wants to kill people so that he will build more roads and then campaign in 2024 with that. Is that how we develop? The first human instinct is self-preservation. So if we are really in dire straits, let's take measures to preserve the human beings first. Self-preservation, preserve human beings first, their lives. Then next year, you can wrap up your development project. So Evans, look, no matter how you explain it, simply put, Mr. Furiata is saying he would take our money by force in order to be able to go and undertake development projects. That's the meaning of the DDEP. I will take your money by force. Now that he's done things to spook individual bondholders to go and sign. The meaning is that sign. I will do everything to get you to sign so that I'll take your money to go and do development projects. I don't care that you cannot pay your rent. I don't care that you cannot pay school fees. I don't care that you cannot buy medication, and so on and so forth. Is that development? He's turned development on its head.
Martin, so
Mr. Furiata is super incompetent.
Yeah, Martin, so, I mean, for individual bondholders tonight, they have 24 hours. We're expecting to hear from the finance minister in a short while. We'll bring that live to our audiences. What should they do?
Individual bondholders are not signing up. They understand. They think that this is just a political gimmick. He wants to kill Ghanaians to go and build more roads so that they can campaign to break the 8. And the individual bondholders are seen through it. So they are not signing up. They are being resolute. They've seen the abuse of office Mr. Ken Ofori-Atta is doing, and by extension the president, because the president who is giving him the leeway to do this to us. And our only crime is to have voted them into office. That now we can be killed willy-nilly. Our lives don't matter. It's the development projects that matter. Is that development?
I want to bring in Dr. Edouard Nanenchi finally. Doc, for pensioners, if you calculate your loss, for example, you are between 2.5 to 5%. Relatively, you are better off than many, for example, pensioners in mutual funds. So aren't you better off than pretty much almost everybody else who is going to sign on?
I don't think so. The minister used 18% as average. I'm not too sure that is the correct number. The 18 will be the least. I don't think people now are bonds that are maturing now. Any of them is going for 15%, 14%, 13%. I believe that bonds that are maturing now from today that are maturing, they should be in the range of about 17, 18, 19. And the very new ones, those that were issued around getting to the end of the year, they were issued around 34, 35%. So even if some of these things were 15 and the other one is about 35, I'm not too sure you get an average of 15. No, that average of 18. But man is not even so much interested in that. Everybody is going to do something, because if my rate was 18, even the least 18, and you are giving me 15, I'm losing 3%. If my rate was 34, like the very new one, 34, and you are giving me 15, it means 21 or so, about almost 20%, 19 is gone up. And then you know that prices of items, especially drugs. Sometimes I don't understand why drugs, because it is an essential commodity, that's why the prices are going on up like that. We all are experiencing it. Your medicals that you were buying at 400, you go today and it's gone to 900 just for a month medication on your high blood pressure. So while the prices have gone up, any attempt to reduce what you were getting, which is not even now enough because your coupons were not rising in tandem with prices of the drugs that you are buying. So already you don't have enough to buy your drugs. Now your rate is going to be reduced further, worsening the difference between what you have and what the prices of the drugs is. Drugs are not like food, where you can say, I used to take 2 bottles of pinky, 2 balls of pinky, I'm reducing it to 1. No. If they say you have to take 1 tablet a day, you can't say you will take half. You will die. You must continue to take that 1 tablet. Wherever you have to find the money, find it, because if you don't do, you will have to go for dialysis. They say come every week, come twice. You can't say you decide to go once or go 2 times in a month. You will die because that is what is sustaining you. And if the income is reduced and you cannot meet that, definitely it is the debt that will be staring at you. That is the challenge pensioners are having.
Okay. Dr. Donanenchi, thank you very much. Martin Kpebu, thank you very much also for joining us on this very important matter. News Night is starting right now, and the